What's up, guys? Swift here, covering everything Chicago Bears. It's official, we have the 53-man roster. I do expect a couple more moves to come, but for now, we have a 53-man roster. Let's get right into it. First up, the team did release both Trevis Gibson and Kendall Vildor. Those two moves alone save $5.4 million in cap space. On top of that, we got some more details from the Dan Feeney trade. The Dolphins paid the majority of his $3.25 million salary. He's only going to count $1.2 million against the cap for Chicago. So even with that trade and the dead cap hit from PJ Walker and Alex Leatherwood, the Bears have still saved cap money today, over $2 million. Now, let's take a look at all of the players cut. Honestly, there weren't any huge surprises on here for me. I mentioned PJ Walker could definitely get cut. I had Trevis Gibson and Kendall Vildor on the cut list. I really was rooting for Travis Bell and DeAnthony Jones, but the numbers games got them. I think those two, along with Kendall Williamson and Micah Baskerville, are no-brainers to come back on the practice squad. Other than that, I kind of expected Michael Walker, the linebacker, to make the team, but I've said all along that Flus and Hightower love Dylan Cole, and we can't underestimate his special teams value. He's an ace on special teams, and he's probably the guy that Hightower handpicked to stick around on this roster. And then another guy he picked is Travis Homer. Is there anyone on this list that really surprised you guys? Let me know in the comments, and now let's get into the actual 53-man roster, which I still expect a couple moves to happen over the next 24 hours. Unfortunately, I think Tev might go on the IR to start the season as well. I say that just because with Dan Feeney now, that's going to give us 10 offensive linemen on the 53. I only expect us to carry 9 on the roster. Let's go over it quickly. On offense, we have our 2 QBs, Fields and Bajent, no surprise there. Peterman will likely come back on the practice squad. We have 4 halfbacks. I talked about this as well. The team decided to keep 5 linebackers, and Travis Homer is an extra special teamer. He also has some value on third downs, but his main value is going to be as a core special teams guy. The wide receivers were also exactly what we expected here. ESB made the roster over Fountain, and Valus was always a lock. No surprises in the tight end room either, and we kept Kari Blasingame at fullback. On to the O-line, we have 10 right now. Our 3 tackles are Borum, Braxton Jones, and Darnell Wright. We then have 7 interior guys. Teven Jenkins, Cody Whitehair, Nate Davis, Jatiri Carter, Lucas Patrick, Dan Feeney, and Doug Kramer. I expect another move to come at this position shortly. On to the defense, pretty much exactly what I expected. I don't think you'll find a closer 53-man roster projection than I had. I nailed 50 out of the 53 and spoke about the other 3 guys as potentials, which were Doug Kramer, Travis Homer, and Dylan Cole. Those were the 3 last spots on the roster, 2 special teamers, and then we kept Kramer over Leatherwood because of our injuries at center. I really wanted Travis Bell to make the roster, but the numbers were always against him. I'm really happy to report, though, that my guy Terrell Lewis is on the 53, and for some reason the coaches did prefer Rasheem Green and Dominique Robinson over Trevis Gibson. At linebacker, the room is a little short, but I think it means Noah Sewell and Dylan Cole are both going to be healthy. That's good news. Michael Walker not making the team was probably the biggest surprise of the entire 53-man roster for me. At corner and safety, the rooms played out exactly like we thought. 6 cornerbacks, JJ, Tyreek, Kyler, and Terrell Smith, with Jalen Jones and Josh Blackwell claiming those last 2 spots. Michael Ojemudia and Greg Stroman Jr. both put up fights, but Jalen Jones and Blackwell are also core special teamers, and I always expected them to make the roster, unless they went to the IR. And then we went with 4 safeties, Ejax, Brisker, Elijah Hicks, and AJ Thomas. Also, if you missed it, Elijah Hicks has changed his number to number 22, which was Kendall Vildor's old number. The cap shakes out pretty well here. We get a little bit of dead cap hit from Leatherwood and PJ Walker, but a cheap deal for Feeney and the cap savings from Vildor and Gibson make up for it and then some. Overall, I really like what I see on the 53-man roster. Eberflus has also said that he expects the entire team to be healthy for Week 1 against the Green Bay Packers, except for Teven Jenkins, who is still week to week. That seems to hint that Tev could go on the IR, or maybe the team plans on carrying 10 offensive linemen for a couple weeks. That would be risky, and they'd only do that if they think Tev can be back in time for Week 2 or 3. You guys know Tev is one of my favorite players. I want him ready for Week 1, but the news and the way this 53-man roster shook out makes me think he's going to go to the IR and miss the first 4 games of the season. It's still a long season, and Tev could still start 13 games, so no reason to panic there. I think Ja'Tyre Carter, Cody Whitehair, Lucas Patrick, and Dan Feeney give us enough depth on the interior now that we should be just fine for a couple of weeks. Overall, looking at this roster though, the improvement from last season to this year is absolutely incredible. Equanimeous St. Brown was probably our wide receiver 2 last year when we started the season. He's now our wide receiver 6. What about Jalen Jones at cornerback, who started a bunch of games last year? He's now our 5th or 6th cornerback. And then on to Larry Borum, who started the season at right tackle. He has improved and actually won a job as our swing tackle. I couldn't be happier for Larry Borum. I love how he's played this preseason. Also, the development from Ja'Tyre Carter. You love seeing the in-house development, and it gives me a lot of faith in what our offensive line coach, Simo Chris Morgan, is going to be able to accomplish with these guys going forward. Braxton Jones has shown significant improvement. Darnell Wright looks to be awesome, and even Doug Kramer had a good preseason. Our wide receiver room is just crazy with the talent added. The only player who was on this roster longer than a year ago at wide receiver is Darnell Mooney. The other 5 guys are all new. Velus Jones, Equanimeous St. Brown, Tyler Scott, Chase Claypool, and DJ Moore. That room has been completely rebuilt, and Fields finally has some weapons around him. Same with the tight end room. The only guy who was here over a year ago was Cole Kmet. Robert Tonyan gives us another receiving option, and Mercedes Lewis with that blocking option. The entire linebacker room is rebuilt. The entire defensive line is rebuilt. Ryan Poles has done so much in just 1 year. It's actually crazy to see, and I couldn't be more hyped going into this season. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please remember to hit that like button for me, and until next time, bear down.
Be fair, come over here.
Be fair, come over.
What's up, Swift? It's Kyler Gordon. Just want to do a quick shout out to Swift Sports Network with all the latest news on the Bears. Keep doing your thing. Just hope you have a good day, man. And I just want to say bear down.